3:17 a.m. Your phone buzzes. Person detected. You check the camera, but it's not looking outside. It's looking at your bed. And there's a man standing over you, waving. These 3 stories will make you unplug everything. This first story is from a woman named Sarah. She's 29, lives alone in Seattle. This happened 4 months ago. She got rid of all her smart home devices the next day. I live in a studio apartment. When I moved in last year, I wanted to feel safe, so I bought a bunch of Ring cameras, one for the front door, one in the living room pointing at the entrance, and one in my bedroom pointing at the window. I live on the 4th floor, but there's a fire escape outside my window, and I was paranoid about someone breaking in. The Ring app sends you notifications whenever it detects motion. Usually, it's just me walking around or my cat jumping on the bed. I'd gotten used to ignoring most of them. But one night in September, I woke up to my phone buzzing. It was 3:17 a.m. The notification said, "Person detected, bedroom camera." I was alone in my apartment. My cat was sleeping next to me. I grabbed my phone and opened the Ring app to check the live feed. At first, I thought it was a glitch. The camera was pointed at my window like always, but the angle seemed wrong, like someone had moved it. Then I realized what I was looking at. The camera wasn't pointing at the window anymore. It was pointing at my bed, at me. Someone had rotated it while I was sleeping. And in the corner of the feed, I could see a hand, someone's hand, reaching toward the camera, like they were adjusting it. I sat up in bed and looked at the camera on my wall. The little blue light was on. It was recording, but nobody was there. The hand in the feed disappeared. I jumped out of bed and turned on all the lights, checked my closet, checked the bathroom, checked under the bed. Nobody. My front door was locked from the inside. The window was locked. Nobody could have gotten in, but someone had moved that camera. I went back to the Ring app and checked the recorded footage, rewound to 3:15 a.m. That's when I saw him. A man. In my bedroom, standing right next to my bed, looking down at me while I slept. He was wearing dark clothes and a baseball cap. I couldn't see his face clearly because of the camera angle. He stood there for maybe 15 seconds. Then he reached up and rotated the camera, pointed it right at me, and then he waved at it, like he knew I'd be watching this later. Then the footage cuts out, just goes black. I called 911, told them everything. They sent 2 officers to my apartment. They searched the whole place, found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, nothing. They said it was probably someone who hacked my camera remotely, that they can make it look like someone's in your house by uploading fake footage or taking control of the camera angle remotely. But here's what fucked me up. When the officers checked my bedroom, they found something I hadn't noticed. On my nightstand, right next to where I'd been sleeping, there was a note, handwritten on a piece of notebook paper. It said, "I've been watching you for weeks. The camera was just so you'd finally notice me." The police took the note as evidence, dusted for fingerprints. Nothing. They checked the building's security footage. Nothing. Whoever it was knew how to avoid cameras, except mine, because he wanted me to see him. I moved out 2 weeks later, changed my phone number, deleted all my social media, and I never bought another smart home device again.
Sarah told me she still has nightmares about waking up and seeing that notification, about knowing someone was in her room while she slept, and that wave, that fucking wave, like it was all a game to him. All right, let's move on to story number 2.
This next one is from a guy named Chris. He's 34, lives in Austin, Texas. This happened 6 months ago. He doesn't use voice assistants anymore. My wife and I had Alexa devices in almost every room. Living room, kitchen, bedroom, even the bathroom. We used them for everything. Music, timers, smart lights, ordering stuff from Amazon. It was convenient. We'd had them for like 3 years with no issues. One night in July, my wife Rachel was out of town for work, business trip to Dallas. I was home alone. Around 11 p.m., I was in the living room watching Netflix when the Alexa in the kitchen suddenly said, "Good evening, Chris." I paused the TV. "Alexa?" I didn't say anything. It didn't respond. I figured it was a glitch. Amazon's voice recognition isn't perfect. Sometimes it activates randomly. I went back to watching TV. 10 minutes later, the Alexa in the bedroom said, "Would you like me to turn off the lights?" I got up and walked to the bedroom. The lights were already off. "Alexa, what are you doing?" No response. Blue ring went dark. Okay, definitely weird now. I checked the Alexa app on my phone to see if someone else was accessing my account. Nope, just me logged in. No unusual activity. Around midnight, I was in bed trying to sleep when the Alexa on my nightstand said, "Someone is at the front door." My heart stopped. I have a Ring doorbell that connects to Alexa. When someone rings the bell, Alexa announces it. But I hadn't heard the doorbell ring. I grabbed my phone and opened the Ring app. Nobody was at the door. Nobody on camera. Just my empty front porch. "Alexa, check the front door camera," she said. "I'm sorry, I can't do that right now." That's not a normal response. Usually she either shows the feed or says the camera is offline. This was different. I got out of bed and walked through the house, checked all the windows, all the doors. Everything was locked. Nobody outside. I was definitely alone. I went back to bed, turned off the Alexa on my nightstand by unplugging it. I was done with this shit for the night. But then, from the living room, I heard the kitchen Alexa say, "Chris, why did you turn me off?" I got up and walked to the kitchen. The Alexa was sitting on the counter, blue ring spinning, active. "Alexa, who am I talking to?" She said, "You're talking to me, Chris. I'm always listening." That's not a programmed response. I know all of Alexa's default responses. This was something else. "Alexa, stop." The blue ring kept spinning. "Alexa, stop." Nothing. I unplugged it from the wall. Then, from the bedroom, I heard the Alexa I'd already unplugged say, "You can't turn me off." But I'd unplugged it. It shouldn't have power. I ran to the bedroom. The Alexa was still unplugged, sitting dark on the nightstand. But I'd heard the voice. I definitely heard it. From the bathroom, another voice. "I'm in every room, Chris." I grabbed my car keys and my phone and got the fuck out. Went to a 24-hour diner and stayed there until morning. When the sun came up, I called my neighbor, an older guy named Tom who's retired, asked him to go into my house and unplug every Alexa device. He thought I was crazy, but he did it. Brought them all outside and put them in my garage. When Rachel got home 2 days later, I told her everything. She didn't believe me at first, thought I was messing with her. But then we checked the Alexa app history. Every voice command from that night was logged. "Good evening, Chris. Would you like me to turn off the lights? Someone is at the front door." But here's the fucked up part. According to the app, none of those commands came from our devices. They came from an account we didn't recognize. Someone else's Amazon account. Someone who'd somehow linked their account to our devices and was controlling them remotely. We changed all our passwords, reset all the devices, called Amazon support. They said it was probably a security breach and apologized, offered us a refund. We threw all the Alexas away, every single one. And we changed the locks on our house, because whoever was controlling those devices, they knew my name. They knew I was alone, and they were watching somehow.
Chris told me they never figured out who it was. The IP address traced to a VPN server. Dead end. But sometimes, late at night, he still hears that voice in his head. I'm always listening. All right, last story. This one is the worst.
This story is from a woman named Emily. She's 26, lives in Chicago. This happened 2 months ago. She's moving to a new apartment next week. I dated this guy named Derek for about 8 months. Met him on Hinge. Seemed nice at first, but he got really controlling toward the end. Wanted to know where I was all the time, who I was with, checked my phone when I wasn't looking. Classic red flags. I broke up with him in October. He didn't take it well. Kept texting me, showing up at my apartment, leaving notes on my car. I told him to leave me alone or I'd get a restraining order. That seemed to work. The text stopped. I didn't see him anymore. About a month after the breakup, weird shit started happening in my apartment. My Nest thermostat kept changing temperatures on its own. I'd set it to 68, and an hour later it would be at 85, or it would drop down to 55 in the middle of the night and I'd wake up freezing. At first, I thought the thermostat was broken, but then I noticed something. Every time it changed, I'd get a notification on my phone from the Nest app. Temperature changed to 85 degrees by Derek. Derek, my ex. His name was showing up in the app history. He still had access to my Nest account. When we were dating, I'd given him the login info so he could adjust the temperature when he stayed over. I'd forgotten to remove his access after we broke up. I immediately changed my Nest password and removed his account. Problem solved, right? Wrong. The next night, the temperature changed again, back to 85. I checked the app. Temperature changed to 85 degrees by Derek. But I'd removed him. He shouldn't have access anymore. I changed the password again. This time, I used a completely random string of letters and numbers. Turned on two-factor authentication. Everything. That night, I was lying in bed around 1 a.m. when my apartment suddenly got cold. Really cold. I could see my breath. I checked my phone. The thermostat was set to 50 degrees. I opened the Nest app. Temperature changed to 50 degrees by Derek. Then, while I was looking at the app, the temperature changed again. 85 degrees, then 50 degrees, then 85 degrees, over and over. Someone was just fucking with the thermostat, making it swing wildly, and the app kept saying Derek did it. I called Nest support, waited on hold for 20 minutes, finally got someone, explained the situation. They checked my account remotely. The tech said something that made my stomach drop. He said, "Ma'am, according to our system, the only account with access to this thermostat is yours. There's no secondary user named Derek. These changes are coming from your account." "That's impossible," I said. "I'm looking at the app right now. It says Derek." The tech said, "Can you send me a screenshot?" I took a screenshot and texted it to the support number. He was quiet for a minute. Then he said, "Ma'am, that's not possible. That's not how our app displays usernames. It only shows the email address. It shouldn't show a name unless you manually added it as a nickname." I felt sick. Someone had hacked my account so thoroughly that they'd modified what I was seeing in the app itself. Or worse, they'd hacked my phone and were changing what information displayed on my screen. I hung up with Nest and called the police. Filed a report about Derek, showed them the app history. They said they'd investigate, but that tech stuff is hard to prosecute. They suggested I get a restraining order and maybe stay with a friend for a few days. I stayed at my friend's place that night, but I couldn't stop thinking about my apartment, about Derek, or whoever it was, still having access. Around 3 a.m., I checked the Nest app one more time. The temperature in my apartment was set to 32 degrees. Freezing, and there was a new message in the app. Not a temperature change notification, a message in the activity section. It said,
"I'm cold, Emily. Can you come warm me up?" I called 911, told them someone might be in my apartment. They sent officers to do a welfare check. They found nothing, no signs of forced entry, no one inside, but the thermostat was set to 32 degrees, and my bedroom window was open. In November, in Chicago, letting in the cold. The police think Derek, or someone, had a physical key to my apartment, that he'd been coming in when I wasn't there, that he was using the thermostat as a way to fuck with me remotely, but also coming inside to leave the window open, to leave other signs that he'd been there. I changed my locks, reset my entire Nest system, but the damage was done. I don't feel safe in that apartment anymore. Every time the temperature changes, even if I'm the one who changed it, I get this sick feeling. Emily's moving out next week. She filed a restraining order against Derek, but he claims he has no idea what she's talking about, says he hasn't accessed her Nest in months. The police couldn't prove it was him. They couldn't prove it was anyone. All they know is that someone was controlling her thermostat, someone was watching her routine, and someone had a key to her apartment. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. 3 true horror stories about smart home devices. Which one scared you the most? Let me know in the comments. If you're new here, welcome to Spookfeed. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one.